Now, second, you'll notice in verse 3 that God keeps us from slipping. God keeps us from slipping. He will not let your foot be moved, as it says. Now, behind verse 3 is a God immutable who does not change. And that's why he can make sure that our foot does not slip. The psalmist is learning this point from the mountains, I think, in verse 1. And as the creator of the mountains, in verse 2, he assumes that if God makes the mountain to stand firm, then how much more firm is the God who made those mountains? And if God is firm, then he can make my footing firm as well. So probably this psalmist is trying to hike along the slopes, and as he watches his moving feet hike along the unmovable mountains, he finds a need for sure footing. No doubt he's probably slipped a few times, or almost slipped. And so he concludes, the God who makes the mountain stand firm can also make my feet stand firm. Psalm 112:6 says, the righteous will never be moved. Well, how is that? Habakkuk 3:19 describes exactly how, when Habakkuk says, God, the Lord, is my strength. He makes my feet like the deer's. He makes me tread on my high places. Notice, he makes me tread on my high places. And so, God is our strong guard, and he's the one who will guard us wherever we go, even on the highest and remotest of places where we might be lonely. You don't meet a whole lot of people on the top of mountains. And in that sense, God as our guard stands to bring us company. And in the lowest of the places that are depressing, God stands as our guard to bring us joy. And in the highest of places where we are happy, God guards our pride to make sure that we stay humble. And so, you see, God is our strength, and he will make sure that we don't slip into ultimate loneliness, slip into self-loathing, depression, or slip into a proud type of happiness. But certainly, there is also a spiritual application to this as well. You can gain almost any kind of spiritual truth from looking at God's creation and connecting it back to God as the creator. And that's what this psalmist is doing, and that is what Jesus did in Matthew 6 as well, as he says that God provides for the birds of the air, and he clothes the grass of the field. And then Jesus concludes, how much more does God care for you? Because the birds of the air and the grass of the field are made for you. So God cares more for you. And then Jesus connects that to how much more then does that mean God will provide for you. So you see God doing the same thing. He's connecting physical creations to the Creator himself and the spiritual way that he loves you. Actually, in a really physical way that he loves you too. Well, I think Jude 24 makes that kind of spiritual connection from seeing how God keeps the physical mountains from moving to how God keeps our spiritual self from moving. Jude says, now to him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to present you blameless before the presence of his glory with great joy. And so God is the one who keeps us blameless, and God is the one who guards our joy. How many of us need that right now? He will not let your foot be moved. He will keep you blameless. You just got to make sure you're looking up to him. I also think that keeping your foot from slipping could also mean that God will keep you in the position, whatever position that is, that you're in right now, in the midst of hard circumstances. He's going to keep you on perhaps the steep side of the mountain because he placed you there and he wants you to stay there. For you, that might be a job, that might be a place of ministry, that could be your marriage, that could be a role that you have in another person's life. God's going to keep you from abandoning your own responsibilities. And most of all, I think God is going to keep you from running away from your faith and your love in him when the tough times strike.